Hello everyone, welcome to another week of a brand new class to go. This week I am featuring the Peekaboo Forest Bundle. This one was released earlier this month as part of our online exclusive bundle. It is, or our online exclusive launch. This bundle though is so adorable. The minute I saw this one, I had to have it, and I had so many ideas running through my head, so I was so excited to finally get this and play with it. And I have 4 incredible cards to share with you this week. 2 of them are movements, one of them is a fun fold, and one of them is just completely adorable. So lots of fun techniques to learn this week. So if you want the class to go for free, if you want to earn the supplies for the class to go for free, there are 3 ways to do that. All you need to do is place an order in my online store. You need to place a minimum of a $50 order with the host code that is in the video description, and that will earn you the class to go. That will earn you the kit and everything you need for the class to go. If your order is over $100, you're going to get that free class kit. You're also going to get 5 free bonus cards from my basket. Now, those cards probably won't coordinate with the Peekaboo Forest stamp set. They are just 5 free cards to inspire you to use however you want. You can mail them, you can use them as inspiration, you can do whatever you want with them. And then if your order is over $150, don't use the host code, but you're going to get that class kit. You're going to get those 5 bonus cards, and you're also going to get a full package of the embellishments that we're using this week. And this week we are using the iridescent discs. These are the iridescent adhesive back discs. These are so much fun. They came out a couple years ago and I haven't used them much lately, but I love them. They are super flat, so the post office will not get on your case with these. And they come in so many different colors, and they are just so much fun to use. So we're going to use these this week. If your order's over 150, you're going to get a full package of these. If your order's under 150, you'll get a small assortment of them to use on your cards. So that's how to get the class to go for free. So if you want that, there's a link to shop in the video description, as well as that host code for orders under 150. If you don't have the Peekaboo Forest Bundle, you can either add that to your order, or you can substitute for products you already have. This is the card we're going to make today. This is a slider card. So the little bear pops up. Isn't that cute? So you pull this little tab on the top here, and the little bear pops right up. Isn't so cute? Now the Peekaboo Forest Bundle does not have any greetings in it. So I'm pulling in a greeting today from the Thankful Garden stamp set. This is also another one that was released in the online exclusive. I'm just using this You Make a Difference, but you can use any greeting you have. All right, now because this is an interactive card, there's a lot of steps on this one. I've already done most of the stamping and all of the die cutting just to kind of speed things along here. So I'll talk you through what I did in advance and as we make the card. But let's start with we need to start with our, let's start with our tree, because that's going to give us what we need to do. So I've already stamped and die cut part of my tree. So the Peekaboo Forest dies does come with this die. This is for the tree. Right here. It only cuts to the top of the stamp set for the tree. So right here, there is this additional piece for the tree that we're going to make the tree a little bit taller. So we're going to stamp that, but the dies won't cut that. So we're just going to kind of cut it straight up. It's pretty easy. So I have early espresso ink, and I am stamping my tree on pecan pie. We're not doing any coloring on this image today, but we will be doing coloring later in the week, but I wanted to show you how you didn't have to color. Now this stamp does line up with the tree if you get it exactly correct. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that with the camera right in front of me, so we're going to try our best, but you don't have to line it up perfectly. It's pretty good. You know, trees are going to look the way they look, right? You don't have to line it up perfectly, so don't stress about getting it lined up perfectly. All right, so we are just going to take our paper snips now, and we're just going to kind of cut up, just kind of following that line, just like that. All right, and just do the same on the other side, and we're just meeting up with where the die was. Okay, so there's your tree. Easy peasy. All right, now I have a few other pieces for my card here. We're going to use a Lagoon card base. So that's just your standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 on the long side. That's going to be our card base. We're going to come back to this in just a little while though, but I'm going to give that a good burnish. We're going to set that aside. I have a piece of Pool Party that is 5 1/4 by 4. This is what we're going to be building our slider mechanism on. So our little slider guy that goes up and down, this is what we're going to build it on, this Pool Party piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of line up exactly where I want my tree to go. Now, we're going to do some trimming on the tree, so don't worry if, you know, this trunk piece that you're not going to see, you know, that can either hang down toward the bottom, or if you have a piece hanging off the top, don't worry, we're going to do some trimming, but we just kind of want to eyeball where it's going to be. I also have a piece of lemon lime twist that I have die cut with the little border, and I just want to make sure that everything is lined up, that everything's going to be kind of covered up. So we're just kind of dry fitting everything right now. So that's pretty much exactly how I want it to be. So with that all dry fit, we're not going to worry about the top of the tree yet, because the bottom is really where we want it. We don't want our little peekaboo window too low, because then it's going to be covered up. We don't want it too high. You know, it's a precise placement here. I'm going to grab some adhesive. I forgot to grab adhesive, so let me grab some of that. I have a piece of early espresso that is, I believe it's 1.5 by 2. 1.5 by 2. This is going to be the little background piece. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back of this. This is the only part that we're gluing down right now. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of this piece. And I'm going to put a lot because we're going to be cutting into this, and I want to make sure that this is stuck really well. So I'm going to hold the bottom with everything in place with one hand. And then with the other hand, I'm just going to kind of slide this in where it's right behind the hole, but where it's going to be covered up by the tree. Okay, so that's pretty good. We're going to pull that off now. Okay, so this piece doesn't have to be straight. It's okay if it's crooked. We just need to make sure that the tree will be covering it up when we adhere that down. But we need to get out our paper trimmer and cut a little slit into this piece with the Pool Party and the early espresso. So I'm going to pull out my paper trimmer, and we're going to do some cutting here. And actually, let me pull back in my tree real quick so we kind of know where this is going to go. And I'm going to grab a pencil. Any pencil will do. And I'm just going to kind of make a little stopping point. So maybe like, not quite half, but maybe like 1/4 of the way up, we are going to add that. So then I'll just draw a line where we need to trim it. I hope this is making sense. I hope I'm not making this too confusing, but I just drew kind of a stopping point. You don't want the slit to go all the way to the top, because then it's going to show. We just want our little bear head to show. So I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to make sure that that little that line we made is right in the gutter of my track there. And I'm going to take my blade, and let me pull this blade out real quick just so you can see what I'm talking about. On my blade, the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, the side has these little lines here, right here. Hope you can see that, and it's on both sides. These little lines, those lines line up directly with the tip of the blade. So I am going to line up, so let me make sure my little line is in the middle there. I'm going to line up those lines with right where I want my the top of it to be. So I'm actually going to just choose like an anchor line, because I'm not going to be able to see the line once I'm in there. And so I'm going to just kind of trim, not all the way to the bottom. We're really only trimming maybe like an inch and 1/4. We're not trimming a lot. All right, now I'm going to move it over just a hair, not a little bit, not a lot. And we are just going to kind of cut the same way right to the top there. So we just have like this little slit that we're going to cut out. So that looks good. Really, this slit is really only going to be like 1/8 of an inch. And you can also go in with your little crafter's tool, take your pick tool thing here. But we are not making a very big slit here. We are just making like 1.5 inches. We can always make the slit longer if we need to, but we can't make it shorter. So you can see I have just that little slit here. Okay, that's really all we need. Okay, my crafter's blade just came, it just popped right out. I need to tie in this. But let me put this away before we cut somebody. All right, so we have our little slit there. So let's put in our sliding mechanism. So I have a piece of Pool Party. This piece is 5.5 by 1. This we probably will end up trimming as well. And then I have 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 1/2 inch. These we are going to fold in half, and you can score these if you want to score them at 1/2 inch. That's okay. You can do that. But these are pretty small, and nobody's going to see these. These are just going to be our little sliding mechanism. So 2 pieces, and then just fold it in half as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, nobody's going to see this, so it's okay if it's not perfect. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to put one in the slit this direction, so the fold is opening to the left, and we are going to put the other one into the slit in the opposite direction. Now, if you're finding this is too tight, that it's not fitting in your slit, that nothing is sitting the way it should be, if it's not sitting flat, if it's not moving, then go ahead and just cut your slit a little bit bigger. You can take scissors too and just cut your slit a little bit bigger, but we have kind of these little wings. So I don't know if you can see that. So nothing is glued down. All we've done is insert those little 1/2 inch pieces into the slit there, okay? We are going to adhere the back of this now. So I'm going to flip this over so my little brown piece is on the back. I'm going to make sure that those pieces are all the way at the bottom of my slit. And I'm going to use a nice strong glue here. So I'm going to use liquid glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of each of these. Don't put too much because you don't want it to ooze out and adhere everything down. All we're doing is adhering this piece down. So I'm going to adhere this down near the bottom. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom, just as close to the bottom as I can get, but I make sure this is above your cardstock as well. Okay, there we go. We're going to give that a little bit of time to set while we work on our little bear, but that is how this is adhered now. So it's only adhered to those little slits, okay? All right, now my bear, I have already stamped. I stamped him on crumb cake, and I die cut him. And then I also stamped him on basic beige, and I fussy cut just his little snout here. And so we're gonna adhere that down. And that's just gonna kind of give him that two-toned look that makes him so adorable. I'm gonna take your pick tool, just pick that up and place it right on top. So you could stamp him on white and color him if you want, and we'll do that later in the week, but sometimes you don't want to color. Sometimes you just don't feel like coloring. So this is a good way. You can just stamp on multiple pieces of cardstock and give him that two-toned look. Okay, now we are going to adhere our little bear. So we are only putting adhesive, again, just on these little slits, and I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to keep the adhesive right in the middle, right on those little slits in the middle, because I only want to adhere the bear, and he doesn't really fit all the way across. Pull him up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so we have our bear, and we have our little pulling mechanism, and they are only adhered to those little slits that we put in, those little pieces that we put in. So this should slide up and down, and once we get the card put together, it'll be much more stable. Okay, now I can't get it down, and I don't want to pull it down because some of the adhesive is not completely dry. So there we go. And once you get it going, it needs a couple of times to really to learn what it needs to do, but you can kind of test it and see if it's doing what it needs to do. You can go in if you need to, make that slit a little bit bigger if you need to, but that is our basic mechanism. So now that we have our bear, we're going to pull him all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to stick our tree on. And you know what? We need to make our slit go down even farther because our bear needs to come down a little more. So I am going to just take my little X-Acto knife here. So I popped him up so he's not in the way anymore. And we're going to go down maybe about 1/4 inch from the bottom there. Okay. So you may need to adjust it, and that's okay. These cards, this is a part of the card that nobody is ever going to see. And you can do that with your paper trimmer or scissors if you need to. So now let's pop him down all the way to the bottom. And then when we put our tree on, That's much better. So now we only see his little ears, and that is what we want. And so let's put our grass on, make sure that we're not seeing the, the trunk coming out of the grass. And that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now let's put some dimensionals on to adhere our tree down. We need to make sure that we are not going to inhibit the our slider piece. So I'm actually going to put my dimensionals right next to my little sliding piece here. So it's not touching, they are right next to, and then we're going to slide our piece up. That way we know where to put dimensionals up here. And I'm going to just put a few up here just to make sure that, nothing gets in the way. And one more up here. Okay, so this is going to be all of our sliding pieces, or all for our tree. And now let's put our little bear, we're going to slide him all the way back down so we know where to pop our tree. So these little bottom dimensionals are not going to hold up the tree too much, but they'll be good for the grass. Okay, so we have our tree. We're going to do some trimming in just a minute, but let's put our grass on first. Let's put one more dimensional down here, and we're going to put our grass on just like this, all the way across the bottom. Okay, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and trim off the tree. We are going to move this sliding piece out of the way. Just make sure that you're not trimming that off. We only need to trim the tree off. So you can do that with scissors too, however you want to do that. Okay, so now we have our tree that is nice and even with the top of the card. If you want to trim it off more, you absolutely could. I mean, because we're going to cover this top. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could even just come in and cut away at it like that. Nobody's going to see this part of the card. So you can do that as well. All right, we're going to put the top of our tree on. That's going to line up with the very top of our card there. So we're going to do that with dimensionals as well. So I'm just going to put one in this corner, and I'm going to put one over here in this corner. And I'm going to leave this spot open. I'm leaving that little spot open by where that sliding mechanism is, because we're going to come in with a circle punch, and we are going to punch a little notch there. Okay, we have the top of our tree. So this is actually looking like a little tree, and I just remembered I don't have that punch. So give me 1 second. Okay. Me a second to find it. I apologize. This is the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and all we're going to do is we're actually going to go, but we're going to not punch this piece, so we're going to go behind that piece. And we're not going to punch a lot. I mean, really, we don't need a lot. We just need just a tiny little bit. And you're punching through 2 layers, so be careful. And that will kind of indicate that there's a little mechanism there for you to pull up. Okay. Our card is coming together. So we have our little sliding piece. Our bear slides up and down. And once we get this on the card, this piece will be much more stable. It's so flimsy in the back here right now. So we need to stabilize it onto our card. So we're going to flip this over, and we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this. Now you need to strategically place these dimensionals too, because if you put it over the sliding mechanism, or you put it too close to this little sliding piece, then that sliding piece isn't going to go up and down. So just be careful where you're placing them. I'm just going to put a few on here, just like this. Okay. I'm putting them around that sliding mechanism because we want to lift that up as much as we can, so that it goes up and down. Now, if you need to adjust the slit at all, you need to do that before you start gluing any of the other stuff down. But I think I'm pretty happy with our little slit. It's a little tight, but the more we use it, the looser it'll get. So now this is on our card, and the little sliding mechanism, you can see how much better it works now that it's stabilized by the back of that card. Isn't it so cute? Our little bear just pops right up. Hello, hello. So cute. Now, if you want to trim this piece off, if you want to trim it, I'm just going to trim it to about the top of the cardstock here. The top of the card base, and then I'm going to take my Pull Party Stampin' Up marker. We also have a stamp set that has a little thing that says pull. I think it's the Hooray for Surprises stamp set. But I'm just going to do a little arrow that indicates, hey, you need to pull this up, but you can also stamp the little pull right there. but I'm just going to do a little arrow with my Stampin' Up marker, and that'll just indicate that this is something you need to pull. And you can always put a little ribbon on this as well. So super cute, right? So cute. I love it. All right, just a few more finishing touches. I have the greeting here that I've already stamped. I stamped this in Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to trim this off a little bit on each side. And we're going to pop this up on dimensionals on one side and just some liquid glue on the other. And then I have the little branch from the stamp set, and I stamped and die cut the branch in Early Espresso and Pecan Pie. And then the leaves are stamped in Granny Apple Green on Granny Apple Green cardstock, and everything was just die cut. So just a little bit of liquid glue on this. And we're going to just tuck this into our tree. Just like back here. I think that's good. Just like that. That just adds a little bit more detail. All right, for our greeting, I'm just going to take a little edge piece right here, and I'm going to put this behind the front of the greeting. Just like that. And then behind the greeting, the back of the greeting, this will go over the tree, so I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue there. And this will go right across the bottom here. Just like that. I have a linen thread bow here that I have on a glue dot, just a double bow, and we're just going to stick that right on the edge of the greeting there. And I'm going to grab some scissors and trim those ends. I don't need them that long, so let's get all those little end pieces trimmed out. All right, so we are nearly done. Final touches on this card. We just need to add some of those iridescent discs. And I have some green ones here. The green ones are on the very top. And I'm just going to add a few of these little green ones. The thing that I like the most about these little iridescent discs is that they kind of pick up the color around them. So, you know, they might look green on the paper, but once you put them on your project, they're going to pick up the colors around it. They're going to make them look completely different. They're kind of magical in that way. I really like them. So that completes our little slider card. It's so cute. So our little bear pops up. Hello. So very cute. So I hope you enjoyed this card. I hope that I didn't make it too complicated. Remember, the biggest part is just making sure that that little slider slit is wide enough. You don't want to make it too wide, but you don't want to make it too tight. But you just get that little bear attached to the front. You get the slider mechanism attached to the back of the slit, and you'll have a fun sliding card. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me for day 1 for our Peekaboo Forest class to go. Join me tomorrow for day 2 for another adorable card. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.